Hey everyone, today's video is a little different and honestly, pretty unsettling. We're diving into 4 terrifying snowstorm horror stories. Stories that prove how dangerous and frightening nature can become when a storm takes over and everything goes silent. These are the kind of stories where people get trapped, lose their way, and sometimes never make it back. If you enjoy this type of content, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and let me know in the comments if you want more stories like this. I was 16 when I learned that some doors should stay locked, no matter how desperately someone knocks. It was January 2015, and I was home alone for the first time during a real blizzard. My parents had driven 3 hours north to help my grandmother after she'd slipped on ice and broken her hip. They'd left that morning when the forecast still said light snow. By noon, the weather service was calling it a once-in-a-decade storm. I remember standing at the kitchen window, watching our street disappear under white. The wind didn't howl, it screamed. Snow came down so thick I couldn't see Mrs. Muthick Patterson's house across the street, even though her porch light was on. I'd never felt our house shake before. Every gust made the windows rattle in their frames. My phone buzzed around 2 p.m. A text from Mom. Power might go out. Flashlights in the hall closet. Do not open the door for anyone. We'll call when we can. Love you. I texted back that I was fine, but my hands were shaking. The power died at 3:47 p.m. I know because I was staring at the microwave clock when everything went dark and silent. The heater stopped. The hum of the refrigerator cut out, just wind and the tick-tick of ice hitting the windows. I got the flashlights, wrapped myself in blankets on the couch, tried to read a book by flashlight, but I kept looking up at the windows, seeing nothing but white and my own reflection in the glass. That's when I heard it. Knocking. Steady, rhythmic knocking on our front door. I sat up. My breath caught in my throat. The knocking came again. 3 slow, heavy thuds. I crept to the door and pressed my eye to the peephole. The porch light was out. Everything outside was just swirling darkness and snow. I couldn't see anyone. Hello? I called through the door. A voice answered, muffled by the wind. Please, help him. My car went off the road. It was a man's voice. Polite. Desperate. I had my hand on the deadbolt before I remembered Mom's text. Do not open the door for anyone. I can call someone for you, I shouted, but I can't open the door. I'm not supposed to. Silence, just wind. Then please, I'm freezing, just for a minute, just to warm up. Something in his tone shifted, still polite, but harder underneath, expectant. Where's your car? I asked. Down the road. 1/4 mile, maybe. Please, I can't feel my fingers. I looked out the side window. Our street was empty. No tire tracks. No car lights. The snow was coming down so hard the tracks would fill in fast, sure, but something felt wrong. I'll call 911, I said. They'll send someone. My phone had 1 bar of service. I dialed. It rang 6 times before a dispatcher answered, her voice crackling. 911, what's your emergency? There's a man outside my house. He says his car went off the road in the storm. I'm home alone and, what's your address? I gave it to her. Okay, honey, do not open your door. We have multiple accidents, and our units are stretched thin, but I'm sending someone as soon as possible. Is he threatening you? No, he just. The knocking started again. Louder now, faster. Not polite knocking anymore. He's knocking again, I whispered. Stay away from the door. Stay on the line with me. I backed into the living room. The knocking continued, then stopped. I waited. Phone pressed to my ear, listening to the dispatcher tell me to stay calm. Help was coming. Then I heard it. The back door handle rattling. He's trying the back door, I hissed. Lock yourself in a room with a lock. Bathroom, bedroom, now. I ran upstairs to my parents' bedroom and locked the door. Shoved a chair under the handle. My whole body was shaking. I heard the back door open. Not break. Open. Like someone had a key, or knew how to work the old lock. Footsteps downstairs. Slow, deliberate. Not the stumbling of someone freezing and desperate. The measured pace of someone searching. The dispatcher was talking, but I couldn't process her words. I just listened to those footsteps move through our house. Kitchen, living room, hallway, stairs. He was climbing the stairs. I slid into my parents' closet and pulled the door almost closed, leaving just a crack. I could see the bedroom door. The chair wedged under the handle. The footsteps stopped outside. The handle turned. Slowly, testing. Then a knock, soft this time, almost gentle. "I know you're in there," he said. His voice was calm. "Patient. I just want to talk." I didn't breathe. He tried the handle again. The chair held. "That's okay," he said. "I can wait. Storm's supposed to last all night." I heard him sit down, right outside the door. I could see his shadow in the gap underneath. The dispatcher was saying something about units being 10 minutes away, but 10 minutes felt like hours. He started humming. A tune I didn't recognize. Casual, like he was waiting for a bus. That's what terrified me most. Not the breaking in, not the searching, but how comfortable he sounded. How patient. Like this was normal for him. When the police finally came, sirens cutting through the wind, flashlights sweeping through the house, he was gone. Back door standing open. Footprints in the kitchen, already filling with blown snow. They never found him. Never even found his supposed car. But sometimes, even now, when I'm home alone during a storm, I hear that humming, and I wonder if he's still out there, knocking on doors, waiting for someone to let him in. I was 21 when I realized that sometimes the most dangerous storms are the ones you drive straight into. It was February 2020, right before the world shut down for COVID. I was in my junior year at State, driving home for reading week. The plan was simple. 5-hour drive, leave at noon, home by dinner. I'd made the trip a dozen times. I should have checked the weather more carefully. The first flakes started about an hour in. Pretty at first, just light dustings on the highway. I turned on the wipers and kept going. Traffic was steady. Other cars heading north. Everyone trying to beat the storm the news had been half-heartedly warning about. By hour 2, it wasn't pretty anymore. The highway became a tunnel of white. I could barely see the taillights of the car ahead of me. Traffic slowed to 40, then 30. My hands ached from gripping the steering wheel. That's when I saw the sign for the rest stop. 1 mile. I signaled and merged right, following a few other cars peeling off. We needed a break. Maybe wait out the worst of it. The rest stop was one of those old ones built in the 70s and barely maintained. A squat brick building with bathrooms, vending machines, and a parking lot that could hold maybe 30 cars. There were 5 vehicles there when I pulled in. A semi-truck, a minivan, 2 sedans, and a black pickup with mud-caked plates. I parked close to the building and ran inside, snow soaking through my jacket in seconds. The fluorescent lights buzzed overhead, too bright after the gray-white of the drive. There was a family with 2 kids near the vending machines, an elderly couple sitting on a bench, a trucker on his phone by the window, and a man leaning against the wall by the men's bathroom. 30s maybe, canvas work jacket, dark jeans. He was watching everyone with this still, focused attention that made my stomach tighten. I used the bathroom, bought a coffee from the machine, and checked my phone. 17 missed calls from Mum. No service now. The trucker walked over to me. "You heading north?" I nodded. "Don't," he said flatly. "Highway patrol just closed 84, 10 miles up. Whiteout conditions, multiple accidents. You are stuck here till it clears." My heart sank. "How long?" He shrugged. "Could be an hour. Could be all night. I'm sleeping in my cab." The family with the kids started arguing about whether to wait or try a side road. The elderly couple looked worried, and the man by the bathroom was still watching, still not moving. Over the next 30 minutes, everyone else left. The family piled into their minivan and headed back south. The couple decided to try for a motel. They'd passed 10 miles back. The trucker went out to his cab. That left me and him. I sat on a bench near the door, pretending to read something on my phone, even though I had no signal. I could feel him looking at me, not constantly, just periodically, like he was checking. Then he walked over. "Storm's getting bad," he said. Voice friendly. "Casual?" "Yeah," I said, not looking up. "You waiting it out?" "Maybe." He sat down, not next to me, one bench over. "Close enough to talk?" "I'm headed north too," he said, "but my truck's having issues. Battery maybe. Won't turn over. You wouldn't be able to give me a jump, would you?" Every instinct I had screamed no. "I don't have cables," I lied. "I do," he said quickly. "In my truck. Just need another vehicle." I looked at him then. His eyes were calm, patient, but his jaw was tight, like he was forcing the friendly tone. "I don't think my car. It'll just take a minute," he interrupted. "Real quick. Then we can both get back on the road when it clears." The lights flickered, once, twice. The whole building seemed to groan under the wind. "I should probably stay inside," I said, standing. "Wait for the highway to open." I walked toward the bathroom. Needed space. Needed to think. Behind me, I heard him stand. I locked myself in a stall and tried to steady my breathing. This was stupid. He probably did just need a jump. I was being paranoid. But I stayed in that stall for 10 minutes. When I finally came out, he was gone. I exhaled. Felt ridiculous. I walked to the window. The parking lot was a chaos of blowing snow. I could barely see my car. The black pickup was still there, put up now. Then I saw him, standing by my car, looking in the windows, trying the door handles. My blood went cold. I backed away from the window, pulled out my phone. No service. The building phone and ancient payphone by the bathrooms had a severed cord. I was alone. In a rest stop. In a blizzard. With a man trying to get into my car. I watched from the window as he circled my vehicle. He tried all 4 doors, peered into the back seat. Then he looked toward the building and started walking back. I ran to the door and locked it. The deadbolt slid home just as he reached the entrance. He tried the handle. It didn't turn. "Hey," he called through the glass. "Why'd you lock it?" I didn't answer. "Come on. I just want to talk. You left your phone in the car." He held up his empty hand like he was showing me something. My phone was in my pocket. "I'm fine," I shouted. "Please leave." His expression changed. The friendly mask dropped. His face went blank. "Open the door." "No." He slammed his palm against the glass. I jumped back. "Open the fucking door." He started kicking it. The glass shook but held. It was old, thick, institutional glass. I grabbed the fire extinguisher off the wall. My hands were shaking so badly, I almost dropped it. He kicked 3 more times, then stopped. Stood there breathing hard, staring at me through the glass. Then he smiled. "That's okay," he said. "I can wait. You'll have to come out eventually." He walked back to his truck. Got in. The engine started immediately. No battery problem. He pulled his truck across the parking lot exit, blocking the only way out. Then he turned off his lights and waited. I spent 4 hours in that rest stop, sitting on the floor with the fire extinguisher, watching his truck. He never moved. When a highway patrol SUV finally pulled in around 10 p.m., he drove away, just like that, calmly merged back onto the highway like nothing had happened. The officer took my statement, said they'd look for the truck, but the plates I'd half remembered came back to a vehicle reported stolen 3 days earlier in Ohio. They never found him. I still drive that highway to visit home, and every time I pass that rest stop I see his truck in my rearview mirror, even when nothing's there. I was 25 when I learned that the worst storms aren't always the ones you can see coming. It was December 2023, and I was supposed to be celebrating. I just landed my first real job out of grad school junior editor at a publishing house 2 states over. The pay was decent. The apartment I'd found was small, but mine. and for the first time in my life, I felt like I was actually moving forward. The company flew me out for a week-long onboarding right before the holidays. Boston. I'd never been that far east. The plan was simple: training Monday through Thursday, fly home Friday afternoon, spend Christmas with my family. Thursday night, my supervisor, Rachel, took the 3 new hires out for dinner, a little Italian place in the North End. We talked about projects, timelines, office politics. She seemed genuinely excited to have us on the team. Around 9, she paid the check and we all headed back to our hotels. The snow started just after midnight. I woke up to my phone buzzing. A text from the airline, Flight 2847 to Chicago, cancelled due to weather. Are booking options available? I looked out the hotel window. The city was buried, snow coming down in sheets, cars already hidden under white mounds, the street empty except for a single plow crawling past. I called the airline. 2-hour wait time. I tried the website. Everything was booked solid through Christmas. Standby only. By noon, I accepted it. I wasn't getting home for Christmas. I called Mum. She tried to hide her disappointment. Dad got on the line and told me to stay safe, stay warm. It was just one holiday. My younger brother Dylan barely said 2 words. I could tell he was hurt. The hotel said I could extend my stay, but the rate tripled after corporate checkout. $200 a night I couldn't afford. Rachel texted the new hires group chat. So sorry about flights. If anyone needs anything, let me know. I swallowed my pride and messaged her privately. Is there any chance I could work from the office tomorrow? Hotel rates are crazy, and I just need somewhere warm during the day. She responded immediately. Oh God, don't waste money on that. I live 20 minutes out. Plenty of space. Come stay through the weekend. Roads should clear by Sunday. I hesitated. I'd known her for 4 days, but the alternative was draining my already thin bank account. Are you sure? I typed. Absolutely. I'll pick you up at 3. Pack for a couple days. She pulled up in a white SUV right on time. The roads were passable but tense, everything moving at 15 miles an hour. Snow piled high on both sides. We drove out of the city. Suburbs, thinned into stretches of woods and old colonial houses set back from the road. 40 minutes, not 20. I tried to make conversation, but Rachel seemed distracted, kept checking her mirrors. Sorry, she said finally. I hate driving in this. We turned onto a private road, no streetlights, just trees and darkness and snow. Her house sat at the end, a 2-story farmhouse style. Lights on in the windows, smoke coming from the chimney. It's beautiful, I said. It's isolated, she replied. But it's mine. Inside was warm, decorated for Christmas. A tree in the living room. Smelled like cinnamon and pine. She showed me to a guest room upstairs. Clean, simple, a bed with a thick quilt. Make yourself at home, she said. I'm going to start dinner. I unpacked and came downstairs. Offered to help. She waved me off and poured 2 glasses of wine. We talked while she cooked, about books, about the job, about Boston winters. Dinner was good. Pasta, salad, bread. We finished the bottle of wine and opened another. I felt myself relaxing. This was fine. She was kind. I was lucky. Around 10, her phone rang. She glanced at the screen and her whole face changed. Excuse me, she said quietly, and walked into the other room. I heard her voice through the wall, low, tense. I told you not to call here. No, that's not stop. I don't care, Marcus. You can't just. Silence. Then footsteps. A door closing upstairs. I sat alone in the living room, suddenly very aware of how far I was from anyone I knew. She came back down 20 minutes later. Eyes red, forced smile. Sorry, ex-husband. He's persistent. I'm sorry, I said. It's fine. He's in New York. Just likes to ruin my nights. She laughed, but it sounded hollow. I'm going to bed. Feel free to stay up. Watch TV. Whatever. I gave her 30 minutes, then went upstairs. I could hear her moving around in her room, talking on the phone again. The words muffled, but the tone sharp. I locked my bedroom door, texted my roommate from grad school, Jenna. staying with my boss outside Boston. Probably being paranoid, but if I go dark, here's the address. She replied immediately. Want me to check in tomorrow? Yeah. Morning. I tried to sleep. Couldn't. The house was too quiet. Every creak of the old wood sounded like footsteps. Around 2 a.m., I heard a car. I got up and looked out the window. Headlights in the driveway. A dark sedan. Someone got out tall, broad-shouldered, moving quickly through the snow toward the house. I heard the front door open. Rachel's voice, angry. You can't be here. A man's voice, louder. You don't get to ignore me. Marcus, leave, now. Not until we talk. Their voices rose. I crept to my door and cracked it open. I could see the top of the stairs, hear everything. There's nothing to talk about. We're divorced. You need to move on. You think you can just replace me? New job, new life, new people. What are you? Did you follow me? I saw you. Driving into the city, picking her up. My stomach dropped. He meant me. She works for me, you psycho. She needed a place to stay. Don't lie to me. Something crashed. Glass shattering. Get out. Rachel screamed. I grabbed my phone. Dialed 911. My hands were shaking so hard, I almost dropped it. 911, what's your... There's a man in the house, I whispered. He's not supposed to be here. He's threatening. A crash. Louder. Then Rachel screaming. I heard footsteps pounding up the stairs. I slammed my door and shoved the dresser in front of it. The doorknob rattled. Open the door. His voice, not angry now. Calm. Controlled. Police are on the way, I shouted. She's a liar. Did she tell you that? She lies about everything. Please just leave. He slammed against the door. The dresser shifted. I threw my weight against it. Rachel was yelling from downstairs. Marcus, stop. Leave her alone. This is insane. He hit the door twice more. Then his footsteps retreated. I heard them arguing. More crashes. Then the front door. Engine starting. Car pulling away. Police arrived 14 minutes later. Rachel was sitting on the kitchen floor, bleeding from a cut on her hand, crying. They took statements, put out a report. She apologized to me over and over. I told her it wasn't her fault, but I couldn't look at her. A patrol officer drove me to a hotel at 4 a.m. Road still bad, but passable. I flew out Sunday on standby. Rachel emailed Monday saying she understood if I wanted to resign. I did. I found another job, closer to home. I don't take offers from people I barely know anymore, and I never, ever stay anywhere I can't leave on my own. I was 27 last year when I finally understood that some patterns never really end. They just wait for the right storm to come back around. It was January 2025. Exactly 10 years after that first blizzard when I was 16. I'd moved back home after my Boston disaster, taken a remote editing job, and was living in a small rental house on the east side of town, close enough to visit my parents, far enough to feel independent. I didn't think about the anniversary, didn't mark it on any calendar, but apparently the weather did. The forecast came 3 days out, major winter storm system, possibly historic snowfall. Wind chills, dangerous enough to kill. The whole town went into preparation mode. Grocery stores mobbed, gas stations packed, everyone stocking up like we were expecting the apocalypse. I did my shopping Tuesday, filled the pantry, got batteries, candles, charged every device I owned. I'd lived through enough storms to know the drill. Wednesday afternoon, my neighbor knocked on my door. Her name was Mrs. Chen, 70s, lived alone 2 houses down. Always pleasant when we crossed paths getting mail. She stood on my porch in a heavy coat, looking embarrassed. I'm sorry to bother you, she said, but my daughter's been calling. She wants me to stay with her until the storm passes and my car won't start. Dead battery, I think. I was wondering if you might be able to drive me. She's only 15 minutes away. I grabbed my keys. Of course, let me get my coat. The roads were already getting slick, light snow falling. Temperature dropping. I drove carefully, following Mrs. Chen's directions through neighborhoods I half recognized. 15 minutes turned into 25. We'd left the familiar parts of town behind, heading into the rural outskirts where houses sat on acre lots and streetlights disappeared. "It's just up here," Mrs. Chen said, pointing to a turn-off ahead. I signaled and turned onto a narrow road. No houses visible, just trees and fences and gathering darkness. "How much further?" I asked. "Not far." Something in her voice made me glance over. She was sitting perfectly still, hands folded in her lap, staring straight ahead. "Mrs. Chen?" "Pull over here," she said quietly. There was nowhere to pull over. Just road and woods. "I don't." "Here." Firmer now. I slowed down, confused, and that's when I saw the car parked on the shoulder ahead, headlights off, a black pickup truck. My heart stopped. "What is this?" I whispered. Mrs. Chen didn't answer. She just reached over and put the car in park, pulled my keys from the ignition. "I'm sorry," she said, but he's been very patient. The driver's door of the pickup opened. A man got out. I couldn't see his face in the dark, but I recognized the shape of him, the way he moved. Deliberate, unhurried. "No," I breathed. "No, no, no." I grabbed for the keys. Mrs. Chen held them away from me, surprisingly strong. "He just wants to talk to you," she said. "That's all. Just talk." The man walked toward my car. I hit the lock button. All 4 doors clicked. He stopped at my window, tapped the glass with one knuckle. I finally saw his face. 30s, maybe early 40s now. Canvas work jacket, the same one from the rest stop 5 years ago. Wore one just like it, but his eyes, I'd seen those eyes before, through a peephole when I was 16. Patient, expectant. "Open the door," he said, muffled through the glass, but clear enough. "Who are you?" I shouted. He smiled. "You know who I am." Mrs. Chen was watching me with something like pity. "He's my son," she said softly. "He's been trying to meet you for a long time. Ever since that night when you wouldn't let him in." The world tilted. You're not Mrs. Chen?" "I am. I really do live 2 houses down." "That part's true." But when he told me you'd moved to this street, when I realized it was you. She shook her head. "He's my son." What was I supposed to do? The man knocked again, harder. "We just want to understand," he said. "Why you keep running. Why you won't talk to us." Us. I looked past him to the pickup. Someone else was sitting in the passenger seat, watching. My phone was in my pocket. I pulled it out. Mrs. Chen grabbed my wrist. "Don't make this difficult," she said. I yanked free and dialed 911. She lunged for the phone. I shoved her back and hit the central lock button, then immediately unlocked my door and threw myself out of the car. I ran. Behind me, I heard car doors opening. Footsteps crunching in the snow. "Stop running!" the man yelled. "We're not going to hurt you." But I'd heard that tone before. The patience that wasn't really patience. The certainty that eventually I'd give in. I ran into the woods, snow soaking through my jeans, branches whipping my face. The 911 operator was asking my emergency, and I was gasping out words between breaths. "Kidnapped, chased, Route 47 near." I didn't know where I was. I could hear them behind me. 2 sets of footsteps, maybe 3. I saw lights ahead. A house. I ran for it, screaming. An old man opened the door, eyes wide. I shoved past him, locked the door behind me. "Call the police!" I shouted. "Please, they're chasing me." He already had his phone out. I watched through his window as 2 figures emerged from the woods, the man from my car, and someone else smaller, younger, late teens maybe. They stopped at the edge of the property line, stood there in the falling snow, watching the house. Then they turned and walked back into the trees. Police came, found my car abandoned on the road, keys still in it. Mrs. Chen was gone. So was the pickup. When they went to her house, it was empty, cleared out, like no one had lived there in months. The name on the lease was fake. The utilities had been paid cash. She'd moved in 3 weeks after I did. They never found her. Never found him. Never found whoever else was in that truck. But I think about what she said. He's been trying to meet you for a long time. 10 years. 3 storms. 3 times he'd gotten close. I don't live in that town anymore. I moved to a city. Apartment building with security. Doorman. Cameras. I don't help strangers. I don't answer doors during storms. And when it snows, really snows, the kind that shuts everything down, I stay awake all night. Because somewhere out there, I think he's still waiting. Still patient. Still convinced that eventually I'll let him in.